All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in tonight for episode number 17. Or we're joined today by Trevor Williams. He's a 15-year LA County firefighter, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. A survivor of the 2010 Haiti earthquake, he founded the Firm Foundation, which has built 39 homes for families in need. Trevor is also the inventor behind the Williams Key, a widely adopted entry tool used by first responders across the country. He now runs Estate Fire Defense, a company focused on protecting communities through wildfire preparedness and home hardening solutions. Beyond the job, Trevor is a dedicated husband and father, a relentless creator, and a big picture thinker driven by service, innovation, and impact. Trevor, how's it going?
Hey, happy to be on the show. First time doing something live like this, so very exciting.
Yeah, likewise. So, we'll just go right into the earthquake, which was mentioned in your bio, and I know that's definitely a crazy experience and story. So yeah, if you want to take it away with that, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just give a little background on myself in addition to the nice intro you did for me. Um, so I grew up as a missionary, and I lived. I think I'd moved 11 times by the time I made it out here to California. I'm in the Los Angeles area now. Um, but I lived in Africa. I lived in Haiti. I grew up. My family worked for World Vision. My dad worked for World Vision, which is a large nonprofit organization, and we did emergency relief work, and they do things like dig wells, build houses, do education, healthcare, um, and they're in almost every country. A lot of people have heard of World Vision through sponsoring a kid. I don't know if they still do it, but it used to be for $1 a day you can sponsor a kid in Africa or wherever um, you were interested in. But anyway, that led us to uh, when I was 4, we moved to a country called Zaire, which is in Africa, and it's now called the Democratic Republic of Congo. But we were there during the Rwanda genocide, so and it bordered Rwanda, so it was kind of a challenging time for everybody there and dangerous. And when it got too dangerous, we ended up moving to South Africa for about a year, let things cool off. And during that time, the name changed, Democratic Republic of Congo, which is it's still called today. And we just it got too dangerous, and we ended up moving to the States. So grew up on the East Coast a little bit in Connecticut. I was born in Virginia, and when I was about 13, 12, 12 or 13, we moved to Haiti, which is back then nobody had ever heard about Haiti. Now it's a little bit more on the map. But Haiti is attached to the Dominican Republic. Together, those two countries make up the island of Hispaniola. It's 565 miles south of Florida. It's in the Caribbean. So we went there during a dangerous time as well. It was a lot like Africa, but more condensed because now you're on an island, overpopulated island, this poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and just a really tough place to live for anybody. But as a young preteen teenager, it was a tough environment for me to grow up in. A lot of culture shock. Um, but eventually, I got to call it home and learn the language a little bit. And I was going to a private school there called Quisqueya. So I made some friends and um, kind of kind of fell into line and started to like it there. When I was almost 16, we moved to Los Angeles, which is where I still am today. And I I started pursuing firefighting while I was out here with an Explorer program and getting to see if that's the job and career I wanted to do. And pretty quickly found out I loved it. And it was along the same lines of missionary work. You're helping people, it's active, it's rewarding, it's physical. And yeah, so I just kind of started on that path with the Explorers and schooling and fire science classes and all that. When I turned 18, my parents left me, and they moved back to Haiti. So I was out here on my own. And in LA, it's tough being out on your own. It's expensive and big city stuff. So I had to hustle, and I started working construction in the meantime, and I did finish carpentry, commercial finish carpentry, and installed a lot of doors and locks before getting on the job. So that'll segue us into the Williams key later on in our talk, but that's kind of my background. And when I was 19, it had been 5 years since I had visited Haiti, and I decided to go visit my family the week before the big earthquake in Haiti. So Haiti had a big earthquake, for those of your listeners who don't know. Back in 2010, January 12th, 2010, it was a 7.0 earthquake. It lasted 39 seconds long, and it killed 300,000 people, which is, I think, biggest natural disaster in modern history.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Insane. 9/11 was like 3,000.
Yeah.
So it's 100 times that. And even one life is tragic, right? So it was just absolutely insane to live through. And my experience kind of developed as I gathered more information while I was there. So I was on the second floor of an orphanage when it started to happen. And at first I didn't know it was an earthquake, even living out here in California. I hadn't really experienced a significant earthquake. And that wasn't the first thing that kind of popped into my head when it started, because it was like a low rumble. And it kind of felt like a Big Mac truck was barreling down the road. And then pretty soon it felt like a train was hitting the building I was in. And it got really violent really quick. And yeah, after like 5 seconds, it was pretty scary. This went on for 39 seconds, which seemed like an eternity. But I started like looking around and saw buildings coming down around us. The building I was in had 110 orphans. And luckily it did not come down, but there was cracks in the walls. Everything fell off, and tables fell over, and cabinets fell over. So once it stopped, I was on the second floor. As I mentioned earlier, that's where all the special needs kids were. So they couldn't walk or anything. So we started getting them out of the building, because now we knew it was a big earthquake. And there's aftershocks, right? When an earthquake occurs, there's usually aftershocks to follow, especially a major earthquake. So we got all the kids out, and we got them sitting on the floor outside, and we just kind of waited. Like we didn't know how bad it was. Haiti's a mountainous island. There's mountains running all the way down to the ocean, and I was down in the city in Port-au-Prince, which is the capital. So you can't really see what's around you. Like especially it was almost nighttime, and now there's like just dust and debris all in the air. But I didn't know like if anybody had died. I figured like some people died, but I didn't know if it was like my little area that I was in, or like the whole country, or the whole world. Like I had no clue. Like there's no intel, because our phones stopped working. All the, I don't know, there must be satellites and stuff too, but all the like repeaters fell down. Either that, or there's 7 million people in that country all trying to make a phone call at the same time, and checking in with their loved ones. So regardless, no information right off the bat. I could hear like screaming and like crying and stuff outside the walls, because all the houses are like surrounded by walls. And I had just become a EMT, and I had all this fire training. I wasn't on the job yet, though. I hadn't been hired yet. But like in my heart, my blood, I was like fireman, So I wanted to go out there and help, but I knew that I needed to stay and help those kids and the people looking out for those kids, because they just needed the extra hands at that moment. And I also like didn't want to go get lost or hurt when I didn't know where my family was. I knew that my dad knew where I was, so I kind of had to wait for him to come find me. and hope that he was okay. He did find me. Uh, it took him a few hours. It was very dark by the time he showed up, and he he's like, Trevor, I need to talk to you. And he kind of had this look on his face that I'd never seen before. He's the national director of World Vision at the time, so he's like in charge of that stuff. And he pulled me aside. He's like, "Hey, I went back to the apartments where we live, where my family lived, and I have a mom and two sisters. And he's like, your mom and your sisters were in the apartment during the earthquake, and it completely collapsed. It's a 5-story apartment. They lived on the bottom floor, hanging off a mountain, and he's like, there's nobody alive in the apartments. And I didn't know what to think at first. I was like, okay, well, let's go find them, And he didn't say they were dead, but he implied it. He couldn't find them, and he's like, I know they were in there, and there's just nobody could have survived that, and there's nobody like responding. But he was like, no, it's dark. We gotta go find shelter. The roads are all destroyed. It took me forever to get here, but his pastor, lived up the mountain, and he has a satellite phone that we could use. So that was kind of our next mission, was to go get shelter up in the mountains with the pastor and call home and kind of see, maybe, I don't know, maybe get some information that way. Um, However, I will say this. My dad was the first point of contact from the United States when the earthquake did happen. CNN called him. There's a guy named Wolf Blitzer, famous news anchor. He was on the TV called World Vision headquarters, and wanted to talk to my dad. And my dad's like, I don't know what just happened. Like I don't have any information for you. It's pretty bad, but I can't talk right now, and I gotta go find my family. And hung up. But claim to fame, first point of contact from the United States, my dad. So me and my dad made it up the mountain, and took a while. Got to the pastor's house. He did have a satellite phone, and we made a couple phone calls to some close friends and family, and we were just like, hey, we don't have any information, but it's just me and my dad right now. Can't find mom or the two sisters. Pray. That's all you can do right now is pray, and then we'll get more information for you when we can, but I don't know the next time that we're going to have access to a phone or food or anything. So yeah, that night could not sleep. All I could think about was hopefully my family was alive, and aftershocks were hitting over the next couple of weeks. There's hundreds of aftershocks. But the initial ones were bringing down more buildings. They're 5.0, which doesn't sound that big, but after a 7.0, everything is barely hanging on. That it is still hanging on, and 5.0s were bringing down more buildings. And on top of that, like LA could survive a 7.0 pretty well, I think, but a lot of the buildings over there are unreinforced concrete, so they don't use rebar a lot of the time, and they're stacked on top of each other, and no building codes, and they got them in trouble. So a million houses collapsed too. I didn't mention that earlier, but a million houses collapsed, 300,000 people died. So couldn't sleep that night. Next morning, as soon as the sun was starting to rise, I was up. I was like, "Come on, Dad, we gotta go. Let's go." And he's a really smart, full of wisdom type of guy, and he's like, no, Trevor, we need to eat, we need our strength, it's going to be a long day. And so he kind of calmed me down a little bit, and we sat at the table, started to eat, and he started talking about funeral plans at the table. And that's when it kind of got to me. I was like, oh man, he really thinks they're gone. Like I know he knows more than I do, and he's convinced that they're not alive. So I started to like kind of lose it a little bit, and I got up from the table. walked over to the window, and it was my first time seeing Haiti in the daylight. And now we're up in the mountains, seeing the sunrise, seeing I could finally for the first time see all the devastation. And there was fires everywhere. There's headers. The sky was orange from the smoke and the dust and debris. And I could hear wailing. I could hear singing, like sad song singing. And it was just so vivid to me. I will never forget that image. And that's when I started to cry. And I could see like just the pain, that the country had been through and stuff. Um, so yeah, that was a tough imagery getting hit with that. And that's when like in the pit of my stomach, I'm like, oh, this is really bad. This is really bad. Um, so we got our stuff, started heading down the mountain. Um, I had like a list of things I wanted to get. We were going to stop at my dad's office at the World Vision headquarters and get all the supplies we could to go dig and go find my family. And we did. We made it down the mountain, and I was watching people walk up the mountain with their few belongings, like a couple clothes, and just covered in debris and bloody, and just you could see like people had been through it, and um but lost too. Like people were heading down the mountain, people were heading up the mountain, people didn't know where to go. And I started making eye contact with everybody I could on the way down, and we just had this connection. Like I don't look like I'm Haitian. We're different, cultures and stuff. But at that moment, we were all part of the same family. We had all been through the same thing. Um, so there was like a connection there, and that kind of stuck with me too. I kept going down the mountain. Finally made it to my dad's office, and we pulled in the front gate, and there's like commotion and stuff, and like nobody knew who was alive or wasn't. At that time, like everybody was like checking in with each other, seeing each other for the first time. And they started yelling, and they're like, "Oh, your family's here! Your family's here!" And I was like, "That probably means something different, with the language barrier and stuff." And then they went and got my mom and one of my sisters, and my mom was barefoot, and she was like being held up by my other sister. I think my other sister was 12 at the time, and both pretty beat up and dirty and scraped up and stuff, and holding on to each other and like helping each other. But I didn't see my youngest sister, who was 7 at the time, and I was like, oh man, I hope she's okay. I don't see her. But we ran over to my mom and my other sister and held them and hugged them and cried. And then somebody else carried in the youngest sister, and she couldn't see. She had like debris and stuff in her eyes. She's good now, but that's why I didn't see her right away. So everybody lived. It was just a miracle. And they were inside when it happened. Um, they had all just gotten home from school, and normally they split up when they get home and everybody goes to their room, and my mom goes to the kitchen. But they happened to just all be together in the living room talking when the earthquake started, and it pancaked floor by floor. Um, and again, they're on the bottom floor of this 5-story apartment, so they could hear like boom, boom as it's coming down, and everything's shaking. And the wall broke open where they were standing, and they jumped out, and they tumbled down the mountain. 2 of them were barefoot, rubble tumbling with them. Spent the night in a tree. Just miraculous. Like there's no way they should be alive. And Haiti is a dangerous country. When I was living there, it was the most kidnappings per capita, like 100 a week in the city I lived in. So, like the people that go to jail in Haiti are pretty bad people. The jails broke open, so a lot of those people were loose on the street. Looting started happening right away. Haiti's not a safe place for women and children to be out on the street at night as it is. So it was like a really dangerous scenario for them. Our place got looted right away, and they were up in a tree all night long. So the next morning, that house is pretty close to the headquarters for World Vision. So um, they started making their way over there, and then somebody picked them up and took them the rest of the way. So I'll pause there. More to the story after like getting reunited, but if anybody has a question or if you want to respond, like
Mhm.
we can do that.
Yeah, I mean that's just when you said that, that your family was okay, there was like a part of me that's like just like super happy. I want to like jump out of my chair. Um that's just, I mean, and you're 19 at the time, so that's how old I am right now. And I can't imagine, like, I can't imagine going through that. So how do you then today, looking back, like how did you cope with everything, like after the fact, like mentally, physically, like how did you manage to, I mean, what was there for you, aside from your family, to get you through that?
Yeah. It took some time. It was harder for my mom and sisters. They went through the more traumatic experience than I did. And then they got like whisked out of Haiti a day later by the Air Force. So we got them to the U.S. Embassy, and they got taken, like rescued or whatnot,
Mhm.
with everybody else that was a U.S. citizen. But they got prioritized because they were more hurt than most of the people there. Yeah, like they were just lucky, man. Like if most people didn't just get hurt, they just died.
Right.
Like it was so bad that they were in a collapse and they got squished and died. Um, but they were like hurt enough to like still walk and like make it around and stuff. But they were just, yeah, they most people were either not hurt or dead, and
Right.
then they were just like they were beat up though, and they shouldn't have been alive. So they got taken away. My dad went with them. I had the opportunity to go, and I was like, I gotta stay. Like
Yeah.
I know the language. I just got my EMT. I just did my national registry. I can work anywhere. um, and like I know I'm here for a reason. Like, why would I have like visited a week before this happened after not being in Haiti for 5 years? Um, and it's just too much of a coincidence. And like
Yeah.
I've been training for this. Like I was meant to be here. Like one for my family, but two, now I think I can help out a lot. Like no, the airport's shut down. Nobody's going to be able to fly in here and help very easily. There's people on the way, like rescue teams and stuff, but they're gonna have a hard time getting here. I'm already here, and my dad's like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, here's the car keys. Um, get in touch with us when you can." And I couldn't believe there was no pushback, but um, he knew what I was saying was like that was the thing that needed to happen. And I felt that in my heart, and I think he did too. So I stayed in Haiti for about a month, about 3 weeks after the earthquake happened, and I helped out with body recoveries. I joined up with search and rescue teams. I did rubble removal. We cleared rubble out of wells so people could drink again. I worked in a couple hospitals. I helped with amputations. Um, I did stuff that I wouldn't be able to do in the states, but your emergency in a third world country, you get to do extra stuff under the watch of these doctors and stuff. Um, so yeah, I did a lot of stuff, and kind of got burnt out by the end of it, and knew it was time for me to go home. So made my way to the airport. They were like, nobody's getting out. People have been camping out the airport for weeks. There's no way you're getting out of here. And I didn't have my any money. I didn't have my passport. Everything I had was in the collapse too, because I was staying with my family at the time. I just had the shirt on my back, and it was an LA County Fire shirt. I wasn't hired yet, but I was an explorer, and um, LA County Fire has a international urban search and rescue team called California Task Force 2, and they ended up flying in, and I saw them that first night I was at the U.S. Embassy, and I was like, guys, LA County, and we were separated by a fence, but I was like, I'm an explorer. Can I help out and stuff? And they said no. They're like, nope, sorry, kid, too much red tape. They're contracted, internationally by
Right.
USAID and FEMA and stuff, or OFTA, and so they told me no, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I'm like, I do ride-alongs with you guys. Like now I can't like participate and stuff, but I was like, all right, one day I'm going to get hired, and then I'm going to get on that team, the task force, and I did eventually. But yeah, I just did a lot of stuff. So I think all that being said, all the stuff I got to do, that's kind of what helped me through my experience. And it took some time. I definitely had some PTSD, like loud noises would mess with me. Um, I would wake myself up at night and stuff, kind of flailing around and like nightmares and stuff like that. But when I got back to the States, I felt like I wanted to keep helping. Um, didn't know exactly how, but I got this kind of vision to start a nonprofit doing building houses for earthquake survivors in Haiti, and I did. I started that at 19. It was a big thing to kind of figure out, having never done that before, not having much guidance. But I started a nonprofit called Firm Foundation, FIRME, which is the Creole spelling for solid or strong. So it means strong foundation. And that was therapeutic because then I started talking to colleges and churches and sharing my story like I am right now. And I've shared it a lot of times. And eventually, I think that like really helped me process it because people would ask me questions and I'd have to think about new things that like my mind kind of blocked out or forgot about.
Right.
And still to this day, it's been 16 years since that happened, and um, to this day, I like to talk with guys like you, and
Yeah.
sometimes a new question will come up, and it's like it's nice to be able to kind of process it in a new way. So that's been the therapy, if you will.
Yeah.
I did do some therapy sessions initially, and then I felt like I was good enough to carry on with my life. My family though, they needed like a couple years of
Yeah.
therapy, and they didn't have closure. Like I had closure because I stayed in the country, and I got to see like the day to day like things how things developed and talk with people, and they just got like taken out of this crazy environment, um, traumatized, right?
Right.
And then they didn't have closure from that, so it took them a lot longer. But yeah, that's how I deal with it.
Got it. Is it still like a, thing you guys talk about as a family still? I mean, quite a bit. I mean, I would imagine, but
Yeah. Um, so we have a tradition now every year on January 12th, the anniversary. We'll get on a Zoom meeting because we live. One of my sisters lives in Washington. I live in LA. The rest of my family lives in Connecticut, and we have some friends that were there with us too at the time. And we'll all get on a Zoom meeting for about an hour and just catch up and talk about that day and pray and just have a little remembrance, for because we have
yeah.
friends who died, on
Right.
that day too. Um, so yeah, that's we talk about a lot, and I think about it probably almost every day still. It definitely impacted my life a lot, and I got a second chance at life. Oh, I'll share this. I didn't find this out till later. So one of the reasons I went to Haiti, um, I was gonna work for the United Nations for a couple weeks, and they had a new fire program I was gonna help teach. And I was like, this will be cool. Get me back in Haiti, get to see my family, kind of pad my resume a little bit while I'm trying to get hired. And so I already had it all worked out with the UN. I knew they wanted me, and like that I was going to be able to participate and help out with this program, but there's still some formalities that needed to take place once I got there in the country. So they still wanted to do like an interview and get me an ID and like a hat or whatever, as part of the process. So I got to Haiti, and that interview was supposed to take place like Actually, it was supposed to take place on the day of the earthquake, during the time of the earthquake, and I rescheduled it to the day before because I was like, I'm already here. Like, I don't want to waste my time, so let's just knock it out. And so I called him up. I was like, hey, can I come in early? Like, I'm not here for that long, so like, can we just get this out of the way so I can start helping? And they're like, yeah, come on in. So I go in there, everything goes good. They give me my ID and stuff. Had I had been there on the scheduled time on the day of the earthquake, I would have for sure died. That building completely collapsed. Everybody in it died. 300 people died in that building. So I didn't find that out till later. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like whatever prompted me, I think it was God, prompted me to reschedule was like looking out for me. And so I know I got a second chance too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on borrowed time here now and counting my blessings and happy to be alive and thankful that my family's alive too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that I was able to, I don't know, I know a small platform, but give you that chance to share the story again, and it definitely needs to be heard, like for everybody. So kind of talk about a little bit about the Explorer with LA County, and I have a question here for you. I
Okay.
think you can see that, but what was your experience as an Explorer with LA County, and how did that help keep you going to stay with the fire service? What was the process like, and how was the transition?
Nice. Okay. I see the question. I'm going to read it for
Okay.
myself too. Um, okay. So LA County. All right. So LA County Explorers, you can start at, I believe, 15 and a half. So I started that program pretty much as soon as I moved to Los Angeles. And I got with the closest post, they call it a Explorer post. And in LA County, every battalion has its own post. And LA County is big. They have almost 200 fire stations, 22 battalions, and um, each post. So if you're in Battalion 1, it'll be Post 1, and that makes up like a bunch of fire stations, like 7 or 10 fire stations, however big that battalion is. So I was Post 16, and I was in Battalion 16, and they start you out just like kind of see if you're cut out to listen, follow direction, be respectful, show up on time. You get a uniform. It's got to look good. There's an inspection. You shine your boots. It's very much as if you were a fireman or in a fire academy. So they're pretty strict with you, and you're scrubbing toilets. You're doing all the housework, and you're happy to be there. Like you got to earn your keep, right? So it's a privilege to be able to be part of this program, and you take pride in it. You take pride in your post, and you want to be the best you can be, and you're also part of a team, so making your team good too. So that's kind of the mindset and the vibe. Um, and then they teach you 4 basic skills: ropes and knots, SCBAs, ladders, and hose lays. And each week depending on when your post meets, our post met every week, and you kind of rotate through these different skills and you get better at them. And then there's an Explorer Academy, but they can only take a few explorers from each post. So when the Explorer Academy comes around, you kind of start competing with the guys in your post, and who can do ropes the fastest and who can do the ladders without making mistakes, and you start getting scored on everything. And then they'll take the top guys and girls and send them to the Explorer Academy. Now, you're not allowed to do a ride along until you've been through the Explorer Academy. Once you've been through the Explorer Academy, you get certified, you get an extra little patch on your shirt, and now you have the blessing to go do 24-hour ride alongs. And you can go wherever you want. Any of the nearly 200 stations, you can call them and just be like, hey, my name's Explorer Williams. I'd love to do a ride along on Saturday. Is it okay if I schedule a 24-hour ride along? And most of the time it was yes. And so I'd pick all the busiest stations, all the places that burn, and you don't want to go to a slow spot because you're just
Right.
scrubbing and mopping all day. Like you want to be out there going on calls and getting fires and getting experience. So once I started doing the ride-alongs, that's when you find out if you're really that's when you see the blood and guts and the danger, and you feel the heat of the fire and all that stuff. So that's when you really find out if it's for you or not. And I loved it. I did as many ride-alongs as I could. I did over 1,000 hours of ride-alongs before I got hired, and it does not help you get hired other than you learn the job and the culture really well, and you learn how to act. But it's not like they hook you up because you're an explorer or you have any special treatment in the hiring process because you're an explorer. It doesn't work that way. It's like a civil service test, and it's like, yeah, nobody helps you through the process. So it took me almost 7 years to get hired. Once I turned 18, you turn 18, you can put in your application for the county. So I did that right away. And you need a CPAT test, which is your candidate physical ability test or agility test, and that you have to renew that every year. And $100 or $150, whatever it costs. It's been a minute since I took it, but so I was doing that every year. And then I was doing I got my EMT. I worked for an ambulance company for a little bit. I was doing fire science classes at the community college. I did their fire academy. Doing their state fire academy allows you to start applying to some departments that don't offer their own academy. So I got picked up with a volunteer department after I did that academy, Mount Sac 51st Fire Academy. Got picked up with Sierra Madre, which was an LA County volunteer city. And at the time, there was only 2 volunteer cities in all of LA County. But they kind of followed the same rules and protocols and had the same equipment as paid county. So that was a really helpful stepping stone. And I did that for about 5 years. And yeah, that was my process. So it didn't help me. Like, I highly recommend it to anybody that has the opportunity to do it. It didn't fast track me into the fire service, but it gave me all that experience. I had no problem in the tower. Like, once I started going through the academy, I finished second in my class, and I was like, I didn't sweat. I sweat the EMT stuff a little bit because they do that again. Luckily, I was already an EMT, but even still, like, the book stuff is, and the classroom stuff is not really my cup of tea. But so I had to fight through that part. But all the, like, hands-on, the ladders, the BAs, the ropes and knots, the hoses, I've been practicing it for years. So that wasn't a struggle for me. And then staying in physical shape, that's always, that's a big one. You got to be basically a athlete to be a fireman.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I mean, I had spent 4 years with like a cadet explorer program with 2 volunteer departments. So I always like hearing what it's like, especially I'm in Wisconsin, so I don't even know, quite far away. But so you said 7 years after you turned 18, you got hired. Where did you end up? Like, what station? And then kind of where you're at now and your fire service career so far.
Okay. Just to add to the last thing I said, I applied to 60 different departments, and I traveled all over the country. I tested for FDNY, Vegas, a bunch of places in Texas, Washington, all over the place. But I think I tried the hardest for county just because I wanted that so bad. It was everything that I had been training on and I knew. So I probably tried a little bit harder for that. But so I ended up getting hired, I think around 26, and their fire academy, it changes, like, often. Like, it's not always the same amount of time. Sometimes you have to be a paramedic. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need EMT. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's like fast, like it's like accelerated, a month, 2 months, and then mine was like 16 weeks. I think mine was super long, so it seemed like almost half a year that I was going through mine. And I got roommates, and I lived close to the tower, even though, like, I lived pretty close already, but I was like, I want to be able to run there if my car breaks
Right.
down or something. I don't want to take any chances. So, plus there's accountability with the roommates. So I got roommates, and we did the tower and went good. But um, once I got on the floor, I my first spot. You have two probationary spots. Probation is a year long, so 6 months and 6 months. And my first spot was really close to my house, in a city called Duarte, Station 44. So I spent my first 6 months there, and it was cool. Learned a lot, had a good time. And then my second spot was Firehouse 8 in West Hollywood, and that's one of the biggest houses in LA County. There's 39 people there, uh, 13 per shift, and it has a lot of tradition. It was built in the 50s. It had the first truck ever that LA County got, so first aerial ladder. Um, a lot of TV shows came through there. Emergency, if you've seen that, the first episode was out of Fire Station 8. And then there was a show before that called Rescue 8, which is like a black and white show, based on that station and filmed for LA County. And then I was on a show called LA Fire and Rescue that came out a few years ago, and their first episode was at Firehouse 8. And I'd go to bed with like a microphone on, and we got a call, like a camera crew would be following us around. And it only did one season. It was kind of hard for them to like, you had to film so much to, get like good footage, because it
Right.
seemed like as soon as they would leave, then we'd get a fire, or then we'd get something crazy. But they're kind of a white cloud. Like they'd set up big crew, just hang out in the station with us, and it's kind of awkward at first. Like we didn't want to get in trouble because how firefighters are. We kind of don't have many filters and pranking each other and stuff all day, and we were worried that they're like, no, you won't get in trouble. We're gonna show it to the chiefs, before we like air it. Well, we're like, yeah, the chiefs are the ones that get us in trouble. If they're gonna see it, for sure we're getting in trouble. But it was fine. At the end of the day, they made us look good, and it was cool. So AIDS has, it's like a almost 60-foot long aerial ladder tiller truck, 100-foot ladder, and it's part of a light force, which means there's an engine that follows the truck everywhere and pumps it, gives it water. It's a quint, like it holds its own water technically, but the way we operate is like a truck, so that engine following it will supply the water most of the time. And then there's only 3 light forces in all of LA County, so it's kind of a special thing that we have there. It also has its own engine, 4-man engine, and then a paramedic squad. And then it's part of a strike. One of the engines is part of a strike team too. So if we get a big brush fire, it'll get sent out on a strike team. A strike team consists of 5 engines, 4-man engines, and they'll kind of all stay together out in the WUI, wildland urban interface, and fight wildland fires. But it's a city rig, so it can do both. So cool place to be. And I spent almost my entire career there up until this point. I've been on 10 years with county, and I just promoted out of there. So now I'm the county calls it a firefighter specialist, but wheelman, straw boss, engineer, whatever you guys call it, lieutenant maybe. I drive now, so I drive and pump, and it's kind of a cool transition because I was assigned to that truck at AIDS for all that time, and it wears on you. You're lifting heavy things all the time, and a lot of heavy equipment, and climbing ladders and cutting on roofs, and it's hard on the body. So I was starting to get hurt a lot, and I started to realize like maybe it's time for me to experience a different change of pace. And driving, I can still get hurt, but driving so far has seemed like a little bit nicer on my body. And now I work close to home again, out of Station 86 in a city called Glendora.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So right out of the gate on a truck company, pretty interesting. Are you on an engine now that, or okay? So how's that transition been then from? I know outside of what you just said about, your body and everything, just getting used to engine work compared
Yeah.
to truck stuff.
No, it's cool because, well, my joke with that station is like, oh, I thought I bid the truck here, and they used to have a truck, and now they have two engines. So, um, but no, I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
It's different. So you kind of are the buffer between the captain and the firefighters, and you get to kind of facilitate the things that need to get done that day. The captain's in charge; he's the boss, but like you're the guy that makes it happen, right? And you kind of block all the riffraff stuff that doesn't need to make it to the captain. Like if something's serious enough, yeah, the captain hears about it and finds out and gets involved, but you're supposed to kind of be able to like man the station and handle yourself and the crew, and make the captain's life as easy as possible. Like, um, so I'm getting used to that. Like I'm learning. I'm still new in the role. I like it, and I miss the truck work and the busy life, city life stuff, but this is good for me too, and it's given me a chance to learn the engine inside and out, and we have a bunch of mechanics that service the rigs in the county, and the one assigned to our area is really good and somebody I know pretty well, so he's been going under the rig with me and showing me all the ins and outs. So you need to be able to handle that rig if something goes wrong, and you can't just always call the mechanic for everything. Like it's kind of your baby.
Right.
So you're being really thorough with it, doing full checks every morning, checking all the fluids, air brake tests, and then just knowing all the million components of what makes up a fire engine. And these at this station is pretty nice. Um, they're pretty new. There's two engines, and one's a 2017 and one's a 2019. And I'm used to like the truck that I was on was a 99, so it's like older than probably like
Yeah.
um, but I'm on these new rigs now, and it's like LCD screen and all fancy, and I'm learning how to. It's like a whole different animal from what
Right.
I was training on. So, yeah, I like
Yeah.
the role. It's cool. So
Yeah.
I have a year. Well, for when you become a firefighter specialist, your probation is 6 months long instead of a
Okay.
year, um, and it's a little bit different than being a boot or a rookie on probation. Um, you're like you're not really new; you're just new in the role. So um, I've been trying to like be respectful of that and being new and not like just like watching movies all day and stuff, but like you want to learn your job, so in your district, so the
Yeah.
maps, like this new area is pretty tough. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and it's not a grid. There's like 500 streets and they all sound the same, and they start and stop and start and stop, so it's really tough to like memorize the map. But I don't know if where you're at if they make you memorize the map, but um, typically as a probationary firefighter, whatever station you're at, you get a blank piece of paper. They're like, you draw out the entire district, all the streets, all the names, and I would think that's even more important for an engineer, for a driver,
Right.
because you're driving. Like you're the one that needs to know it better than anybody. But
Yeah.
it's not a requirement for us. Like
Okay.
it's just kind of like a pride thing and knowing your job thing.
Yeah.
So I've been struggling with that. I'm trying to learn it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know anybody who could memorize this map. It's so
Right.
insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll go a little bit into the Williams key, and we got a question here that I'll throw that kind of ties into that. So for young people with ideas or who want to create new things or try new things, as an inventor yourself, what kind of advice would you give to future fire leaders or innovators in the industry?
Okay. Okay. Um, so I think a lot of people have ideas, but they're afraid to like act on it, right?
Yeah.
You might be a thinker, but not a doer. Um, so I would say act on it, and then you get people who are like, okay, well, I made this thing. I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's ready yet, or like I don't know, I don't think it's ready for market. And my answer to that is let the market tell you that. and you will. So I'm on like the fourth generation of the Williams key, which we'll talk about, and it's changed over time because people gave me suggestions and ideas, and it got field tested, and we figured out what worked and what didn't. So make that first generation, whatever it is that you're trying to invent, and then sell it, and then make a second version and sell that too to the same person. Like they'll
Right.
buy it. You bought the latest iPhone, and then another one came out. You bought that one too, I'm sure. So, um, yeah, people will continue buying from you if they like who you are, what you stand for, the product you produce, and you'll eventually get brand loyalty, maybe. So yeah, don't be afraid to kind of just try. And
Yeah.
what's the worst that could happen? You fail, right? And it's not the end of the world. You do something else and try again. You never fail until you stop trying, right? So I would encourage everybody, just go out there and do it. And then if you know somebody that, like me, hit me up. I don't know what you got going on, but we can sign a NDA, non-disclosure act, if you want, and you can run something by me. But I'm always open to talk to anybody with ideas and kind of point you in the right direction. I don't have all the answers, but if not me, get with maybe somebody that could give you some good guidance who has done what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's some good advice. I know there's I like, you said about not failing until you stop trying. There's that you can apply that to so many different things. So when did you first get the idea for the Williams key, and yeah, where's it at now? I mean, you're obviously super successful with it. So yeah.
I will show your viewers what Williams key is in case they don't
Okay.
know. But I usually wear a black shirt, and I wore pink today because this shows up really good. Usually I have to like put my hand behind
Right.
it and stuff. Like, can you see it? Because this is black. But so this is a soft entry tool or a respectful entry tool that first responders use mainly, and it is used to open doors without doing damage. Um, it works well on outward swinging doors without deadbolts. There are some inward swinging doors you can use it on, but typically outward swinging gates and things of that nature. Um, I make a folding version as well, so guys will like to carry them in their turnouts, or if they need something more portable, like there's like bike police and stuff I've seen like carry the folding one. But I'd recommend getting the solid version if you can. It's cheaper and it's a solid piece of metal, so it's like less failure points. Um, but yeah, if you need to save space, get the folding version. Um, yeah, actually, the folding version, there's like one thing that it can't do because it has a nut on it. It can keep you from like going through certain types of jams and stuff.
Okay.
So this has more utility than the folding version. But the folding version, like I carry a folding version, and I have for years at work, and it pretty much gets me through all the stuff that it can get me through. The same as this, so they're both good. Anyway, I got this idea from my background. I think we touched on. I did commercial finish work as a carpenter, and I installed thousands of doors and locks, and worked at big schools and colleges, police stations, fire stations, oil refineries, all over the place. And I got to know doors and locks really good, and now I kind of have an X-ray vision. I like to say of what is on the other side of that door, at least what is supposed to be.
Right.
There's no absolutes, and people do crazy stuff um, with doors and construction in general. You can get on a roof, and they'll build another roof on top of that, and you weren't expecting that, and it's not permitted. They weren't supposed to do it. Same thing with a door. People install drop bars and like all sorts of stuff, right? Um, but generally, and especially if you know your area and you start sizing these doors up and doing walkthroughs and finding out your target hazards, you get a really good idea of like how you're going to get through a door. So that's where I was at coming on as a fireman. And when I used to install doors, I had a bunch of Wazoo tools that I had made, that were like through the lock. And some of them are fireman tools, and some of them are lockpick, locksmith tools, and some I had made myself. Um, a crude version of the Williams key I had made myself, and then I kind of perfected it over time. And when I got on the floor as a rookie at eights, I was using this Williams key a lot. And you don't want to be like, you know, look at me, look what I can do.
Right.
You kind of want to be humble, especially as a new guy and stuff. So I was like discreetly getting into these doors on calls, and but guys noticed, and before long, they were like, "Hey, man, you want to make me one of those stupid tools?" And they can never give you a compliment. But
Right.
yeah. So before long, guys were asking me for. I didn't have a name for it yet, but a Williams key, and I had to like cut and grind and make these things out of angle iron and stuff. So uh, it took a while, and I was like, okay, enough people were asking. Let me see if I can get them fabricated, and I'll just give a couple out to the guys asking me for them. So I did that. I made like 20 of them, and before long, everybody wanted one, and a lot of guys come through our station overtime and big county, right? So the guys working at the station were going out of the station using it, and other people were coming into the station seeing it used. So it spread quick, and I was like, oh, I guess I got something here that could be a thing, and I just want to make the fire service a better place and better at my craft and help other people be better at their craft. But this could turn like I can't do this for free, you know. So then I started charging people, and I was like, if I can powder coat this black, I can laser engrave a logo on it. So the initial Williams Key logos were laser engraved, and now they're powder coat. They're a little nicer now. They're screen printed. Sorry. So the whole thing is water jet cut, then powder coated black, and then screen printed on with the logo. But I still do the engravings because guys like their names and or their station or their company or whatever engraved on the back. So I'll leave the backside blank so I can engrave on it. And I got some engravers back there and 3D printers and stuff.
Dope.
So I still do the engraving, and it's great for gifts and or these things get stolen. Like guys, these things disappear. So I'm like, put your name on it because somebody's gonna take it from you.
Yeah.
So that's how that got started, and then I made a website, made a social media. It started going viral on social media, millions of views on the videos and stuff like that, and it took off pretty well for a couple years. And then I kept building like the folding version didn't exist yet, so eventually that was like a request, and figured out how to engineer that. Made a folding version, made a Magnum, which is the 35-inch version. So I market that to like big trucks and USAR and search and rescue teams, and it's good for like really big gates. The best feature about the Williams key is it can slide behind an anti-vandal plate and still toggle the strike of a lock. So anti-vandal plate is like that piece of metal that'll cover the reveal, and it's attached to the door, but it also covers the door jamb, and it's to keep people from messing with that strike on the lock. But this can still reach behind it and move it aside. So that's why people get it. And then this side is just a shove knife handle end. So if you can visualize the strike, you tug on it on the outward swinging door, and then sometimes you can open it. There's an anti-loading pin on a lot of strikes, which is, if you look at a lock, there's like two pieces of metal. The smaller piece of metal, if pushed in, turns that strike into virtually a deadbolt, and you can't press it. So this won't work if the lock is properly installed and working with anti-loading pin. But we have a couple methods we use for defeating that. One would be pushing your shoulder into that door really hard while you're trying to toggle the strike. A lot of times you can force that anti-loading pin into the strike plate hole, which will defeat it because now it's not pressed in anymore, and then you can kind of jimmy it out. Another method would be gapping the door a little bit. Sometimes that pin is only depressed an eighth of an inch, quarter inch. So if you can gap it that much, it'll relieve it, and then you can use the Williams key and open it back up. Sometimes these bend; they're designed to bend. If you bend your Williams key, you can use it as a J hook sometimes for panic hardware, especially like a double panic hardware glass door. You can see what you're doing, give it a bend, reach it through, and depress that panic bar. If you want to reset your Williams key, throw it in a vise, tighten up that vise, it'll straighten it back out. So it'll scrape it a little bit, but it's a tool. It's meant to be used.
Right.
So I'm just addressing some of the questions and concerns I get. The other one is, what if a burglar gets this tool? I've sold over 60,000 of these Williams keys, 3,000 more today. And I've never gotten any report of a burglar using this tool because they don't want to pay for something like this. A brick is cheaper, a crowbar is cheaper. Locks keep honest people honest. If a burglar or a criminal wants to get into your home, they're not going to be nice about it and try and protect your lock and your door and your door jamb.
Right.
So
right.
That's it.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome. I've never. I've definitely heard about them and saw them prior to getting in touch with you. But yeah, definitely gonna get my order in here soon for sure. I have seen people use them. So you said you sold like 3,000 today. Is that what you said? Yeah, that's insane. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I don't we could do giveaway too if you want. If you want to go into that, yeah, it's your call.
Sure. Let's give away a key. How are we gonna do this?
See.
We got here. Trying to look at your. Is there a way to see? Okay, I see who's watching now. Okay. This will be easy. So everybody that's watching right now, I'm gonna write down a number. So don't comment anything yet. But got a pen and paper. It's blank, so there's no cheating. Off screen, I'm gonna write a number, and we'll do a number between 1 and 100. And whoever's closest to this number wins the Williams key. Let me write my number. Okay. When everybody's ready, let's see. I think one guess per person, or you want to give them more than one guess?
Yeah, let's go one guess a person.
Okay. All right. I see two numbers so far. I see a 25. I see a 71. I see a 46. This is fun. Any other takers?
Like, if you're watching, why don't you just type a random number? I don't know why.
Yeah. I think some people don't know how to use the comments.
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
So we'll give them a few more minutes. Let's keep talking.
All right, perfect.
And we'll let them figure it out.
Okay.
And then we'll see 46, 54. Okay, got some comments coming in. Yeah, we'll see who gets close in like a minute or so.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
You want to share anything about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm in Wisconsin. Spent 4 years between two different cadet departments. I'm currently 2.5 hours south of where I live, in a technical college, getting a fire protection technician degree is what it's actually called. Basically just like, Fire 1, EMT, inspector, driver, operator, everything like that. Just they put it into a fancy name for an associate's degree. So doing that, and then, yeah, I mean, started this 17 episodes in, and yeah, it's going pretty good so far.
Nice. Love to hear it. Okay.
Your favorite part? Sorry, your favorite part of truck work?
Ooh. Okay. So something that's unique to LA County, and there's plenty of departments that do this, but I think there's a lot more that don't. We do vertical ventilation. So we do horizontal as well, but vertical, we're up on top of roofs, cutting holes. And it's kind of aggressive. Like, I've talked to some other departments. They're like, "There's no way. That's crazy. That's so dangerous. You guys do that." Um, but we train a lot on roof construction and vertical ventilation and truck work up on roofs. So I think I think that's awesome when you're up on a house that's on fire, and then not that fires are awesome or anything, but like you're getting to do your job that you train for, right? And the point of vertical ventilation is alleviating those superheated gases and that smoke and creating visibility for fire attack that's inside, and coordinating with them, because you can hurt them too. If you ventilate too early, you can drag the fire over them, and or if you're not reading your roof correctly, like you can fall through or have a collapse or whatnot. So a lot goes into it. But that's one of my favorite parts. I would say is vertical ventilation is awesome. Getting a tiller is really cool too. So I tillered at eights for the whole time I was there, especially Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Driving down that in the tiller bucket is pretty cool. So I think those are a few of my favorite truck work things, along with just the hard work and getting to go to jobs and the camaraderie of the crew that you're with. And truck work is like more advanced and technical. I would say, like, they don't put a brand new fireman on a truck typically. So you're getting to train with people a lot on very specific tasks, and you're getting to know and trust your crew really well. So that's kind of a big part. Like, you end up being like a well-oiled, fine-tuned machine once you get to that point.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah.
Right.
You always see the videos of like riding in a tiller, like with like a sunset. That's so sick.
Well, hopefully a fire.
Yeah, this is true.
But
all right,
if the fire's behind you, you're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show my number.
All right.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I think so. I think 61. So
61. It's gonna do 67 because that's so popular right now, but I couldn't do it. All right, so
I think that I think that's my mom and dad's account.
Let's see. The 71, is that the closest one?
There's a 54 and a 71. So wait.
54 is closer.
Yeah. I can't math.
So is that mom and dad?
Yeah, that is.
Looks like you're getting a Williams key, dude.
That's hilarious.
Nice. Well, cool. Definitely happy to do a giveaway, and that was fun. Hopefully your parents share the key with you.
My dad is the safety officer on our department, so that'll be
nice.
that'll be rigged.
Maybe I'll engrave dad on it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, dude, I appreciate you doing the giveaway and taking the time to come on here. Your story is awesome, and definitely, like I said earlier, needs to be put out more.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this was fun, and I love doing it. I love talking shop and sharing and answering questions. And anytime you want, you can tell your viewers, hit me up.
All right, we'll do. I'll put links to your pages and stuff and everything, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully, definitely get you back on. The goal would be to repeat guests, like all my guests I've had on later down the road, just like catch up and everything. So we'll definitely.
Joe Rogan does it all the time.
Yeah, yes, sir.
You're gonna be the next Joe Rogan fire service. So.
Yes, sir. So I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight.